Hello and welcome to My Glasses Have Been Fixed, so this is no longer awkward. You know what? I think that should be the permanent intro for my channel. We have landed finally on something. Today I wanted to show you all of my variegated Hoyas that have survived the mealybugs, so that excludes Hoya carnosa Crimson Queen, Crimson Princess, and I did toss away my Hoya australis subspecies australis, outer variegated, because I've had it for 3 years, it barely grew. It was not a plant that wanted to live, so I, like a good plant person, granted her the wish of not wanting to live. Honestly, it didn't look good, nothing worked for it, and in my opinion, you should not keep a plant around that clearly doesn't want to be around, but you know, that's my take. I have today many variegated Hoyas for you. I actually did not know I had this many. So that was a surprise. I think there are 17 today. There are 17 in my collection. When I started collecting Hoyas, I was kind of a snob. I was like, no, I don't want anything variegated. I'm not into variegated Hoyas, blah, blah, blah. And then you get one, and then you get another, and then more, and more, and then your hair gets into your mouth, which is not part of the story. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, if you say that you don't like variegated Hoyas, you will probably get some variegated Hoyas. And I think as long as you don't voice these thoughts out loud, it's fine. I think as soon as you voice these thoughts, like, I don't like variegated Hoyas, or me, I don't like African violets, we know how that went. Just don't voice them. Because something happens in your brain, and your brain is like, you know what? Let's try it. Let's do it. And then you start liking it. Anyways, I think we are getting, what's the word? Thought car crash. I don't know. So I'm just going to start showing you the Hoyas in order, ranked from my most favorite to my least favorite. So actually, maybe that's the wrong order. Is that the wrong order? Should I go from, because, you know, if I go from the best to worst, you're probably not gonna keep watching until the end. But if I go from worst to best, you know what? I'm sorry, people. I'm gonna do from worst to best. You're gonna hate me for this, but subscribe! I need to get out my phone because I need to look at the list. Honestly, it wasn't my idea to go from worst to best, but I have some things to say about the ones that I don't like, much more than the ones that I do like. For the top 5, I assume I will probably be only capable of using 4 words. It's gonna be lovely, beautiful, gorgeous, stunning. I'm gonna run out of vocabulary towards the top, but I do have opinions on the ones on the bottom. The absolute last Hoya on this list, number 17, is Hoya kerrii innervariegated. And I think you can tell why. This was a bigger plant. I cut it in 6 cuttings, I think. This is the base of the plant. I didn't want to continue to cut it. I'm probably going to transition this base and then sell it off when it starts to grow. I don't know. I don't really want to keep it. I have one yellow leaf here. Let's see. It doesn't want to go yet. But anyways, so you can see there's absolutely nothing to write home about here. This is the top cutting, which you can see here. So that has a bit of variegation. I was gonna keep this one for myself because it's small and it's not gonna take up a lot of space. And oh, that already rooted actually. Hoya kerrii innervariegated. This is, first of all, let me tell you, there are several clones out there, and this is probably the worst one. And I honestly have to ask the growers, the cultivators, whoever out there, why does this exist? So this is the clone. I think this is probably the most widespread clone because it's the cheapest of the innervariegated Hoya kerrii clones. I think this goes for around 25-30 euros for something maybe this size or slightly bigger. This is the clone that does not keep variegation. The new growth will be variegated, and you might be able to get variegation on 2 or 3 nodes tops, from my experience. And then it will fade to green. You may be able to see a tiny bit of variegation on some of the lower leaves. You know, it's nothing. It's not that attractive. The new growth, when it comes in, it is beautifully variegated. It's like there is a lot of variegation on it, but it just fades over time as the leaf gets older. So why do we have this clone? Like, if I want green Hoya kerrii, I will buy a green Hoya kerrii. And if I want inner variegated Hoya kerrii, there is a clone that stays inner variegated permanently. Which I didn't know when I was buying this. And that's my other issue here. Is there a fungus gnat flying? Go away. We're busy. We're busy. Shoo. Go away. Honestly. Anyways, where was I? Are you coming back? I'm gonna smack. Hold on. We need to find that train of thought. Get on it again. Okay, yes. What I didn't know when I was purchasing this Hoya is that there is Hoya kerrii inner variegated that they call permanent yellow, and that one stays inner variegated, and then there is this one. It took me a while after having this plant. I think I was growing it for about 6 or 7 months, and I was really wondering, why does it lose variegation? It didn't occur to me that it happens over time. I thought it was light. I tried less light, I tried more light, I tried a lot of light. That didn't work. I was just racking my brain when I saw one day someone selling Hoya kerrii permanent yellow, and I'm like, what, permanent yellow? What's that? And I did a bit of digging, and I found out that this, what I have, is the clone that fades over time. It doesn't stay yellow. The older leaves turn to green. And honestly, I have tried to look for information online about it, for more information online about it, and I'm just gonna say, people don't really disclose this information right away, which I don't think is fair. I think if you're selling something that fades to green, you absolutely have to disclose that. I don't think, because it's not readily available, it's not public knowledge. Yes, it's Googleable, but also you have to do a lot of digging. So anyways, for that reason, this is on the bottom of the list. I really don't know why this exists. It's not like Philodendron Florida Ghost, which goes from white to mint to green, because, for example, variegated Florida Beauty, and sorry for making this parallel, I know there are people who don't care about philodendrons out there, but like, variegated Florida Beauty is something else than Florida Ghost. But in this case, you have variegated Hoya kerrii that does exactly the same thing that this plant does, but it stays variegated. This one just turns to green, so like, why does this clone exist? It's beautiful when the new growth comes in, but it doesn't stay beautiful for long. It's a vigorous grower. I'm just not really sure that you should get this one, so I'm going to put it back and let me know your thoughts about this Hoya kerrii. Moving on. The next Hoya on my list is number 16, and I wasn't really sure where to put this one because my feelings on this Hoya change over time quite a lot. I don't really know how to grow this well. I just have not found the right conditions. This is Hoya incrassata outer variegated. There are several clones again of Hoya incrassata that are variegated. I honestly cannot tell you what is the difference between the clones, and as they cost a lot of money, I'm not also willing to test all of them out. I think there are more beautiful Hoyas to have anyways. So, Hoya incrassata outer variegated. As you can see, we have things going on here. First of all, the reason this plant is very small, I've had it for, I think, over a year. The reason why it's small is it's the first, or one of the first Hoyas that I cut into when I am selling Hoyas and when I need budget for new Hoyas. It's one of the first ones that I will cut into. The reason for that is I don't really love it because some of the leaves will get very, very little variegation. It's green on green, and it's not even light green on dark green. It's just very, very similar shades of green. I don't even know that camera will pick that up. And quite a lot of the leaves were like that, or even like this, you can see. Or maybe even this one. This is actually a good example because it's bigger. So you can see that green on green variegation. And I ain't really a fan of it. Even this bigger leaf, once again, I don't know, not a big fan. But then what happens sometimes, and I think it's possibly a light thing, is that this will happen. And then I'm like, okay, I like you. I like this. That's nice. Or this. That's nice. I don't mind that. I would like more of that. I really cannot tell you what can cause this. And I also talked with some other people who have this plant, like Rose from Yoga and Plants with Rose, and she says that her plant gets more variegation in lower light. I can tell you that this leaf was less green. The variegation was more prominent when it was in less light. I moved it closer to light and it started to become less prominent, the variegation. I don't know. I'm not really still sure how I feel about this plant. Potentially, if I could get the conditions right, and I'm actually not even trying, if I could get the conditions right and if I could get the variegation to stay nice, I would probably move this, let's see, maybe 2-3 spots higher on the list, maybe even 4. So, you know, maybe even 4 spots higher. You could be 4 spots higher on this list if you did what I wanted you to do. Just think about that. And I probably wouldn't cut you as often. Think about that as well. The next plant on this list is outer variegated Hoya kerrii. So this plant doesn't look very good. So this plant has been through a lot. It has been through root mealybugs, and it was bigger. My friend actually has the rest of this plant. What had happened is, I can't remember what it was, but I dropped something heavy on this plant and I just destroyed a big portion of it. So I kept the base for myself, but I was just so frustrated with myself that happened that I didn't want to keep the rest. Anyways, my friend has a part of it and it's growing well for her. I'm not even sure if she likes it. We have some new growth here, so we will see what that will look like. I think I would like this plant if it was bigger. I got it as a small plant. Actually, when I got it, it was this size, and it was quite a disappointment because the plant that I paid for was supposed to be 3 times bigger. And this arrived, something like this. So I wasn't very happy with it from the beginning. I do have actually several growth points here, so who knows, maybe I will start to like it. I don't really have much to tell you on it. It does get nice. It doesn't grow very fast. That's been my experience compared to innervariegated Hoya kerrii, which we know loses the variegation. And sometimes that will happen with Hoya kerrii, that they will be slow, and then out of nowhere, they will put out this vine, which is basically a weapon because it's very just hard. And then, all of a sudden you will get 1 meter of a vine and then the leaves will come in. So I don't know, maybe that will happen soon with this one. It does seem to have quite a stable variegation, but it's just not very fast. And even if it looked a bit better, I don't think it would get much higher on this list, maybe a couple of spots higher. And there are other versions of Hoya kerrii that I think look nice, like the splashy one. I love Hoya kerrii Splash. And there is one that I'm not really sure. I think they call it outer variegated with spots or something. Has a very strange name. Spot margin, maybe. That one can also look very, very nice, but that one is very expensive. So, it's Hoya kerrii at the end of the day, and there are much nicer Hoyas to have. On number 14, we have Hoya multiflora, outer variegated. And to tell you honestly, I was expecting more. I mean, you can see some of the nice leaves. They have nice variegation. It's just not it for me. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's the light. If maybe I need to up the light a bit. I'm afraid to up the light because I think I could easily burn it. Because for me, I think there is low light, and then the next level for Miro is surface of the sun, I don't have intermedium light, I guess. So this plant is staying in the back on that Rodsta cabinet. There is a Mars Hydro light up there, a 100 watt light, but it's quite far away from it. It does well, it grows well, but it's just not very prominent variegation. I may try to give it a bit more light, but I just wonder, is this one of those things that also kind of fade over time? Honestly, there are other clones of Hoya multiflora, like the one I've never stopped talking about, SV406. That is not variegated. but it's just a more beautiful clone. The leaves are tougher, the green looks more healthy, deep, rich green. The leaf shape is more beautiful and the flower is more beautiful. So yeah, this is just really not my favorite clone of Hoya multiflora. I am interested to see what the inner variegated one looks like. There is inner variegated one, but I think it's quite a novelty and I don't think it's widely available, which means it is extremely, extremely expensive. So I'm not going to get it until the prices drop to something that I feel is reasonable for Hoya multiflora. Okay, now we are starting to get into something that was a bit harder to rank. We are on spot number 13, and this is Hoya bella outer variegated. This was tough to put in spot number 13, but if I look at my other plants on this list, I do think I like them more. This one is also very special because it was a gift from my friend Carolina from Sweden, but there is another Hoya that she gifted me that is on this list, and it's just much, 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 much higher than this one because it looks much better. So you can see how this plant looks. It's not a lot of outer variegation, I would say. It's just really just a tiny bit. Sometimes you will get leaves like this leaf over here, if we can focus on that. And those get a bit more of a variegated margin, but in general, it's just thin line on the edge of the leaf. And it looks nice. It's not ugly or anything, but it's just not as exciting as it can be. Some of the Hoyas that are outer variegated are really not exciting. This one kind of falls into that category. But some of them, I will mention some on the higher on the list, they get really, really, really exciting. So yeah, I like it, don't get me wrong. I think probably like this one and Hoya multiflora outer variegated, all of those are the plants that in my opinion are keepers. Kerries are, you know, we're debating on those. But these are the plants that I would absolutely keep. I really, really do like them, but you know, we had to rank them somehow, so it is what it is. This next plant is Hoya compacta outer variegated. I know, I put a compacta on this list and I don't know what to tell you. You know, I did not like Hoya compactas and then I started to like them. I don't know why. I should have never said that I don't like Hoya compacta. Now I do. This one is higher than Hoya bella because this one can get quite a lot of variegation. It's not my favorite Hoya by any stretch of imagination, but I do find it quite interesting. And this Hoya is very, very slow to grow. I have 3 different compactas, the green one, this one, and then one more, which I will show you a bit later. This one, I would say, interestingly, grows faster than the green one for me. The green one never really grows that well for me. I have no idea why. It's very strange. This one grows a bit faster, but not as fast as a compacta that I will show you quite soon on the list. It's a nice plant. I actually got this in 2020 as a small cutting. Actually, I didn't even get it. My friend got it, but I grew it out to be about twice the size, and I think last summer I chopped it in half. I left the base for myself, and there is more new growth here. It's growing on my shelf, my Hoya shelf under Mars Hydrolite, and it's getting quite a lot of growth points. I think it seems to me that this plant really enjoys the highlight. It's definitely not something, if you want it to grow, it's not something for even medium light, I would say. The next plant on this list probably needs to be retrellised. It is Hoya verticillata outer variegated. This was sold as Hoya acuta and Hoya parasitica. It is Hoya verticillata. And I do like this plant quite a lot. It's one that I also often cut if I have a Hoya sale because it's a very popular Hoya, I would say. It is very beautiful. It grows really fast, so I don't mind cutting it. In about 6 months, there will be, you know, it will look much fuller than this. I took 5 or 6 cuttings even 3 or 4 weeks ago from this plant. So yeah, it's a great grower. It's not a Hoya that I necessarily am waiting to flower because I have other Hoya verticillatas that I'm not cutting, that I'm waiting for them to flower, but you know, it's a verticillata, so This one I'm just growing for the leaves, and you know, you have some Hoyas that you don't necessarily want to flower, you don't necessarily want them to be big, but you want to grow them. And this is how I feel about this Hoya verticillata, and that's how I feel about Hoya compacta. Like, I don't necessarily want it to flower, I don't want it to get big, but I do want to have it. So, you know. Anyways, this is the outer variegated Hoya verticillata, and I'm going to tell you we are not done with verticillatas on this list, but it is quite a nice plant, absolutely very, very easy to grow. It does get lovely, but because there is a lovelier version of it, it is on the spot where it is. The next plant on this list is innervariegated Hoya obovata, and let me just hold on. You saw this plant recently in one of my videos when I was repotting it, and I do love this plant quite a lot. As I said, you can see what it looks like. I also took a cutting of this one for my Hoya sale. It's a nice plant. It's not necessarily the best clone. When I got this plant, it was not as variegated. Some of the leaves were quite plain looking, but it can get more variegated. I think it's just not as stable. There are clones that have both variegation and splash, which I do think I mentioned to you before, and they just have a much better variegation. If you want to get some of those clones, you may need to pay a bit more money. This one was fairly cheap. I think a cutting was 20 euros or something like that. So it wasn't very expensive, but you know, it grew to be a nice plant. It grew to be a plant that I really like, and I just wish that the leaves were a bit bigger. The reason why these are so small is they were not supported by anything except air for a very long time. I just recently retrellised it. And I do see several peduncles. It's a very easy Hoya to bloom as well. I actually do think I even have a blooming video on it. It is my only Hoya obovata. I may consider getting the splashy one because there are great clones of splashy Hoya obovata, and I do like the plant quite a lot. So I do think I will probably get it at some point. I'm going to keep this one also. I love it. Wait, I'm just not really sure how to turn it. Okay, this. Yeah, now it looks good. I love this plant, and yeah, I'm definitely keeping it. I'm going to try to do a better job at trellising. I think this is okay. I'm not going to say that this isn't good, because I do think this looks good, but I do think we need to trellis it on time so we get some bigger, slightly bigger leaves. People who love Hoya obovata and who do not like Hoya compacta are absolutely going to hate me for doing this, but the next plant on my list is innervariegated Hoya compacta. This is plant number 9. It made top 10. I think they call it Mauna Loa. I don't know if that is a registered name or not, but the reason why I love it more than the outer variegated first one, for whatever reason, it's a much faster grower for me. It grows really, really well. Second, there are so many things to like about this plant, the variety of colors, and I'm just going to show you a close-up. And once again, if you don't like Hoya compactas, this ain't gonna convince you to like them for sure, but you can see the inner variegation, sometimes they have this line down the middle that is green. It looks very, very nice. The new leaves when they come in are a bit pinkish. I don't know if we can see that. And this one actually has a peduncle. I actually think I have 3 of these. One of them reverted, but I'm keeping it as a green one. And I'm not really sure why I have another one. They all came from the same other plant. I was propagating, I don't know, I was probably bored. I potentially cut one of those for sale, but I never sold it because I forgot that I wanted to, so it grew. But anyways, they grow really, really well. I absolutely cannot complain. I mean, considering it's a Hoya compacta and it's weird, it grows just much faster than you would expect. But yeah, I mean, I think that this section here, if I can get my camera to focus, I think this section here looks especially nice with that leaf that's open, and then the next one is variegated on the outside and it's closed. If you don't like it, as I said, you're not going to be convinced. I know there is a strong dislike. A lot of people say that Hoya compacta is a magnet for mealybugs, and honestly, I don't know. I never had mealybugs on my Hoya compacta, and I think I would know by now because I would see something. But I did have mealybugs on my other Hoyas. They were just not interested in Hoya compacta for whatever reason. I'm thankful for that because I would never be able to get rid of them. But yeah, not as big of an issue as I imagined. I was absolutely prepared for Hoya compacta to be filled with mealybugs, but hasn't been the case. If you see anything white on my leaves, it's cumulus, it's for spider mites, so those are not mealybugs. Sometimes people comment asking if that's a mealybug. No, it's not. I can spot a mealybug, trust me. I am not chill enough that I can spot them quite quickly. Can you see me? So plant number 8 is outer variegated Hoya latifolia that I recently repotted into this situation, which I think it will look good once it fills it out. This has been through many transitions. It was in a bigger trellis. It has been hanging. It has a lot of new growth, actually. It was bigger, but I had to, I'm just having... Okay, sorry. I have to move it. It's a bit big to stay on the table, but I'm just going to show you some of the leaves first, and then I'm going to talk about it. The reason why I love this plant so much is because it... Why did that come off? Why did that vine come off? No, I do not want that to happen. I think this looks like a situation about to happen. This trellis cannot sustain this. Okay, this is turning into a mess. I will have to move this plant. You will have to count this, that you have seen the plant. Okay, wow, that's just, it's a big plant. And that's one of the reasons why it's not bigger. I had to cut it back several times. It's just too big for this space. It blooms all the time. Anyways, it makes a mess when it blooms. There are so many flowers, a lot of nectar. It's always a mess, and it grows really well. So again, I frequently cut it back. I would say 2-3 times a year. It's a lovely plant. I do love it. And that's one of the reasons why I put it on that trellis. I think maybe I can kind of get that to look very bushy, very covered with Hoya. I have a vision in my mind how I want it to look, and maybe this way I won't have to cut it as much. I think I probably supplied everyone here in Serbia with a cutting of outer variegated Hoya latifolia. I made a video about Hoya macrophylla and Hoya latifolia, and because this is often called Hoya macrophylla, and it's one of the videos that put my channel on the map. So I do have a special appreciation for Hoya latifolia. What I wanted to talk about, because I did write a note for myself, talk about this plant, is I like this one, but I want inner variegated Hoya latifolia, otherwise called pot of gold. When I started to collect Hoyas in 2018, that plant was not around as much, but you could find it for maybe 30-35 euros a cutting. I looked recently and, well, you still cannot find it, but now a cutting with 1 to 2 leaves is 100 euros. Excuse me, what happened there? And this is European price. I do not know what's the price in the States, probably 200. Maybe it's cheaper, who knows. And I really want it, I really love it. I think this is a good time to also say this, another thing, this is my opinion. Inner variegated Hoyas are just better than outer variegated Hoyas. It's just... there's more to like. It's a plant that I really want, and I think it would be quite high towards the top, maybe even second or third on this list, inner variegated, if I had it. So yeah, anyways, that's my thought on Hoya latifolia. What I like and dislike about Hoya latifolia at the same time is that it flowers like crazy. Once you get it to flower, it will rebloom very frequently, and it will make a lot of mess. I don't typically get a full nice ball of flowers. I don't know why, and I think this is quite common from what I've seen from other people. It seems to be a difficult thing to get a nice full ball of flowers. Usually you get a section and then the other section opens soon after. You can get a decent ball of flowers, that's awful term, but it's just not as full as some of the other umbels. That's about Hoya latifolia, and we have to move along because I think this is only number 8. You did not see this plant, I don't think. I never showed it to you, but it is plant number 7. It is inner variegated Hoya verticillata. And it's much higher on the list than outer variegated Hoya verticillata. I mean, it's much nicer. I absolutely love it. I think it looks very cute. This grew in my care. I got it, I think, a couple of months ago as only 1 node 2-leaf cutting. And it seems to be an okay grower. So far, maybe not as fast as outer variegated one, but we will see. Maybe that will change over time. I actually am sharing this plant with a friend. When I wanted to buy this plant, which was, I think, 2 months ago, and I got it from Mir, Groen in Hoyas, I'm absolutely butchering that. They had a restock and they had with white flower and yellow flower, or that was the description anyways, of inner variegated Hoya verticillata. I tried to get both of them with yellow and white flower, and I tried to get 2 plants from each because I was buying from me and my friend. They just sold out super fast. I think they were around 20 euros or so. I was there when they restocked. I added to the basket right away, and I only got 1. And it's this one. So I do have to cut it fairly soon. I think I will wait for 1 more growth, or for 1 more node, for 1 more pair of leaves, and then I will cut it and I will send the rooted base to my friend because she's somewhat new to Hoyas, so that's why she wanted it to stay with me so it can grow out a bit and it can, just be a bit more stable. So yeah. I may wait actually a bit more. Maybe I will wait 2 more nodes. I'll see. I'll ask her if she can wait a bit longer. Anyways, I absolutely adore it. I think it's a lovely, lovely Hoya. And if I could get my Hoya verticillata, I mean, you can easily see. You can see right away why this is higher on the list. I'm telling you, inner variegated Hoyas are nicer. Okay, this was very hard. Top 6. Those were all very, very difficult. On spot number 6 is outer variegated Hoya subquintuplinervis. This is absolutely lovely. I just noticed there's another growth point. This is very old leaf. It doesn't look so hot. I think it got too much light at one point. It was in my tent under a lot of light. So I moved it to my... Who are you? Millsbow cabinet. It's also under Mars Hydro light, further away from the light, and it's doing really well. I actually cut it because I was sharing again with my friend, with a different friend this time. So I kept the base, she got the top cutting, and I think her top cutting looks even better than this. But anyways, this leaf, very, very beautiful. This is what you can expect to get. I love this plant a lot. And it is, again, the outer variegated Hoya subquintuplinervis, not Hoya pachiclada. Let's get the names right, which we will talk a bit more with some of the other Hoyas on this list. There is an inner variegated Hoya subquintuplinervis, and I made no secret about it that I really, really want it and that it's quite pricey. That one, I think, again, would be on the, maybe even on the top of my list. Maybe it would be number 1 because I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. You know, when I got my green Hoya subquintuplinervis, it wasn't my favorite plant. It wasn't my favorite Hoya, but over time you just really, really grow to like it. And I think it's one of the Hoyas that I would potentially always have in my Hoya collection. Even if I had to downsize, I think I would just always keep Hoya subquintuplinervis. It is an easy plant to bloom, easy plant to grow. It doesn't take up much space, yet it grows, I like the shape of the leaf. It's kind of like a peperomia that you can't have. That's how I feel about Hoya subquintuplinervis. But yeah, if I get an inner variegated one, it would absolutely go to the top of this list. This is where things get a bit controversial. This plant almost was near the bottom of the list, but somehow it ended up on number 5. And, I have to be fair to these Hoyas. The reason why I don't like this one as much is because I gave it too much light. So it sun-stressed way too much, and it doesn't look good when it sun-stresses too much. But there is new growth that looks really nice. I'm going to show you all of it. This is Hoya walliniana. No chlorophyll? I don't know. Can I even say inner variegated? You can see how white those leaves get. There's barely any green there. It's just how this plant is. This vine here that has more green was in infinitely less light. This was borderline very low light. And still you can see that the new growth is variegated. so it didn't even go fully green. And I was keeping it very close to this light here in the Millsbo cabinet because I thought it would want it, but you can see how ugly the leaves got. And let's face it, this is not the pretty type of sun stress. You can see there and there, it just doesn't look very good. But I think if this plant was not sun stressed as much, which we're now under good conditions, I think I would put it in this spot. I don't think I would ever put it higher on this list. That's just my opinion. I think, number 5 on this list is a well-deserved. I wanted to combine earned and deserve. I don't think it deserves to be lower, but I don't think it deserves to be higher. New leaves can get a bit pinkish, but again, for me, it has been a bit difficult to find the right light where it's not absolutely sun-stressing and burning and still growing nicely. But I do love this green growth here. It reminds me a lot of variegated lacunosa. And in general, Hoya walliniana can remind you from time to time on Hoya lacunosa. So yeah, I like this growth actually. I would like to see more of this with chlorophyll. I guess I just like chlorophyll. Top 4 Hoyas. And you need to understand these are, it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1, 1.1, 1.2. It's just, I love them, all of them so much. It was very difficult to rank these. So on number 4, we have innervariegated Hoya kentiana. I did say in the past, I need to move a Hoya. I did say in the past that this is Hoya wayati. So let me just say, I got this as Hoya kentiana. I need to change the tag. I got it in May of 2021 from Carolina. It was a cutting with 6 nodes and it grew all of this. It's a really, really, really good grower. You can see this was growing in less light, so it looks very, very nice, I would say. This is grown in higher light and it still looks nice, but maybe not as nice as this. I don't know. It's nice to see the combination of the two, but I would like that to stay balanced. I don't want all of the plant to look sun-stressed. But anyways, it's a beautiful Hoya nevertheless. I got it as Hoya kentiana, and then, there was some debate that all kentianas that are sold, all variegated ones, are actually Hoya wayati. Now, that has changed. We have updated information that it seems that most of the wayati being sold are in fact kentiana. I'm not going to go into much detail here because, again, I haven't properly researched it yet, but that's the gist. And if you want to find out more, I suggest you join Hoya Identification on Facebook. There are people, and there are botanists there for one, and there are people who do a lot of Hoya research and Hoya reading, and they can tell you more. You can read more about it. But anyways, I'm going to switch the label back to the original one, Hoya kentiana. Because I haven't bloomed this plant, I really should not have changed the label anyways. But yeah, I'm just going to erase this and write Hoya kentiana innervariegated instead of wayati. This also is an exception on this list because I may prefer the outer variegated one. I don't know, I haven't seen it. Maybe I will like them both equally. Maybe it's just because it's very hard to find that I really covet it. It is Laurelin that I really want. I will let you know when I get it if it's all that I'm hoping for. I don't know, I still think I might like this one more. There's just more color. But I do see some very nice, very interesting variegation in Laurelin, so maybe they will be side by side. Maybe they can share spot number 4. But in any case, it's a beautiful Hoya to have. Easy Hoya to grow once you get the watering right. I do have to say for Hoya kentiana / wayati, it has been one of the most challenging Hoyas, like not even Hoya undulata can compare. It was just very challenging for me to get the watering right, and I could never get it right in organic mix. I always had it either in semi-hydro or now this one is in pond, but the green one, which was absolutely devastated by mealybugs, it was in semi-hydro and it grew well in semi-hydro. I never had much luck growing it in organic mix. Maybe you do, that's great, but I'm going to keep growing it in inorganic mix because it does so well and I don't have to think much about it. It is one of my favorite Hoyas in general. I just love it. I always want to have it, and I always want to have this exact plant because it's from a very, very good friend. So it does have a special meaning to me as well. And I never cut it. One of the plants that I never cut, and I don't think I will. It's getting very difficult. And I think all of these top 4, are they? Wait, I need to check. All top 4 are from Carolina. So Carolina, if you are watching, your plants made it to the top 4 of the list. Plant number 3 is Hoya species affinity Burtoniae variegated. You can see what that looks like. And this one's, oh my gosh, that is gorgeous on the underside. I haven't even, I mean, this is an angle that you don't really see that often, but like, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Love it. So you can see here, this is a more normally variegated vine. This has gotten too much light, and I may need to cut it back actually. I will see if it will start to get more green with less light. It wasn't too much light. The thing with this plant is when you get a cutting of it, it will most likely look something like this. So it won't look very variegated. And this does seem to fade over time, but there's just something about seeing it, I don't know, it's much different than Hoya kerrii. Like, it's a different story. This looks very nice under highlight. Maybe this was a bit too much, but you know, when we didn't give it too much highlight, it just looked very nice. Hoya species affinity Burtoniae generally tends to look very nice in highlight. It's a highlight Hoya in my opinion. The leaves get nice sun stress, they get red. The issue with this one is they can get white with the variegated version, but with the green version they get nice red, and they bloom very, very frequently under highlight. The margin, as you can see, gets also very nice reddish color. It's just a beautiful plant. I absolutely adore it. The new leaves are pinkish. It's not a tremendously fast grower, I would say, but it is a good grower, much better than I expected. And I do think there may be more clones of this one because this one has a more round leaf. I have seen clones with more elongated leaves, and I know that can happen with conditions, but I don't know. This one has been in my tent, outside of the tent, in the Mills bow, and maybe I do have equal conditions all across, but they have stayed pretty much very rounded in my care. So I don't know. I will definitely let it grow out, and this is also one of the plants that I do not cut. First, it's small. Second, it is very special to me. And yeah, I absolutely adore Hoya species affinity Burtoniae variegated. This is also plant from Carolina. This is Hoya bella inner variegated. And oh my goodness, this plant, it's absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love inner variegated Hoya bella. I don't even know if my camera is focusing enough. I'm trying to distance myself from it, and maybe I should just stay back. This is a beautiful, 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 beautiful Hoya. I don't know if that was enough. I absolutely love the lime green. It can get, under higher light, this can get more creamish, more white, but I absolutely love the lime green that it gets and the dark green. Like, you can actually see there. It's not like Hoya incrassata, the green on green. This is just like, this is a noticeable difference in shades of green, like lime and dark green on the edge. Absolutely beautiful Hoya. It is, in my opinion, one of the more sensitive Hoya bellas. I have the regular bella, I have species affinity bella PES03, I have outer variegated bella, and this one, so 4 of them. And this one has proven to be, first, the most difficult to root, second, the slowest grower, and third, the one that it just, you know, it seems, when you see it in person, like the leaves are softer, it just seems like a plant you could kill fairly easily. I don't think Hoya bellas are particularly difficult, but I do think this one is probably the most challenging of them. Now, if you're not great with Hoya bellas, I'm not saying don't get it. You never know. I would definitely get it. I think it's worth it. Be careful with it, is what I can tell you. This is also one of the Hoyas that I, 1, don't cut, 2, don't need it to bloom. I just really love this growth pattern, and the coloration. And that leads us to plant number 1, which no one will be surprised if you have been following this channel for a bit. You will not be surprised. Number 1 is my variegated Hoya heuschkeliana. You can see that is a gorgeous... First of all, if you know how small it was when I got it, you will say, Miro, you did a great job growing it. Thank you. I will take that as a compliment. It is about to bloom on several spots, which I think I told you last time. You can see there. There is just new growth everywhere. It looks absolutely beautiful when it is sun stressed. It grows really well. It fills out really nicely. It is a small-leaved Hoya. I mean, there's nothing not to like about it. Just the variety of color, cream, green, pink. The underside of the leaf. Oh my gosh, look at the underside of the leaf. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous plant. Easy to grow, and it grows really, really fast. I have the green one. The green one is actually yellow flower, and these are several months apart. I got this in May of 2021. I got this in November of 2021. First of all, look at the difference. Look how much this grew. And yes, this is newer, but I got this as a bigger cutting than this one. This one was a bigger cutting. This one did not grow as fast as this one did. Even in comparison, like I would just expect this to be half the size at least of this one. But it's not. It is a plant that I wanted for a long time, and I was very happy when I got it, and I know that now you can find it easier. I was really expecting from Variegated Hoya walliniana to be something like this, to be similar. It's not. Out of all of these, I think it looks the nicest. I think these two, like if we look at them, I think these two look the nicest, and I was gonna say that these two are first, 2 spots. That was my original idea, but then, you know, I remembered that I have the Bella, and then I also remembered that I have species affinity Burtoniae. So, you know, variegated kentiana had to be moved, but nevertheless, Hoya heuschkeliana had to stay on top because I really think this is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Hoya. Stunning. Add all the words that I know to it. Beautiful, stunning, gorgeous, lovely. Do I not really know anymore? 75 synonyms for beautiful. It's a bit too much. Alluring, appealing, charming, cute, and cute, that's dazzling, delicate, delightful, elegant. Yes, we can say delightful and elegant and dazzling, and appealing is just like, oh, appealing, it doesn't even sound like you like it. I think stunning. Blanche Devereaux wasn't wrong to use that word all the time. So this is absolutely stunning. I'm stunned when I see this plant.
Oh, my.
That is all for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing all my I forgot Hoya australis Lisa. Never mind. Number 18. I don't like it. I'm sorry, I don't like it. I do not have great sentiment toward Hoya australis. So Lisa has to suffer. I'm sorry. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know which of these Hoyas is your favorite. I want to know if you have variegated Hoya suggestions for me. I don't think there is a variegated Hoya out there that I don't know about. There are several that I would like to get, like kentiana nugget. There is carnosa variegated subquintuplinervis, and outer variegated Hoya archboldiana, and I'm getting carnosas. I'm getting a couple of more variegated carnosas, not the Argentias, but different clones. You will see. I will show you. I will talk about them. But anyways, yeah, I'm guessing what I'm trying to say here is let me know if there is a variegated Hoya out there that you think is stunning and that I need to have, and that you think could potentially take this one. Can it beat this one? I challenge you. If you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, you absolutely have to subscribe to the channel because we talk about Hoyas and plants all the time. Why wouldn't you want that in your life? And sometimes I also say things that are funny. Or so people say. I don't know. I hope you're all having a lovely weekend. There is a holiday upcoming, at least here, May 1st. So if you do celebrate May 1st, have a wonderful time. Be careful though, don't have too much fun. Just appropriate amounts of fun is what we need, and that's it. I will see you very soon with more Hoya and other plant videos, And until then, goodbye. I would like to take some time to thank my amazing patrons. A massive shout out to my $5 patrons, my 2 anonymous patrons, Alex von Siebenhall, Anne Margaret Moen, Arelise, Betsy Begonia, Bonnie Harris, Kerrii, Cynthia Taylor, Danube Daniels, Estelle, Farah, Houseplant Heather, Hoya Heather, Jacques Plant Journey, Kelso, Kristen Sherwood, Mars B, Martina Alif per day, Melissa Walker, Nicole Ferranti, Nicole and Caleb of Schleif Tropicals, PJ, Plans by Misha, Rachel Colette Conroy, Robin L. Jennings, Sherry Kumar, Stephanie H2O, Spinach Geek, Tanya, TJWO, Vicky Dingler, Wojtatakat, Wendy, Wendy Foreman, and Zlokobny Pony. Also, a big thank you to my $3 patrons. AMP, Angelina Farnan, Brian Phillips, Catherine G, Kilone, Claudia L, David Condia, Jerry's Garden, Lisa Helling, Lori Murphy, Morgan Kennedy, Morgana Divina, Nella, Nerdy Kathy, Nikki, Plantalenia, Ringlov, Ruby, and Shayla Mason Casper. And a thank you to my $1 patrons, Brandon Pacheco, Caroline Carey, Aaron Keenan, Lauren M, Marissa, Paula Plans, and Tang Watanas Riakul. Thank you so much for incredible support. I hope that you enjoyed this video and let me know which variegated Hoya is your favorite and if you like variegated Hoyas at all. I will see you very soon. Have a wonderful weekend and stay safe.